and it goes up, you get the whole.
Gotta have the scroll.
It's a crazy story how this happened, right? I wouldn't live in Broken. That's not a good time. You need any help?
Oh, it's all over. Oh, great
Yeah,
job.
exactly.
I'll get the car.
Yeah.
Welcome to Talking Comics. I appreciate you, jumping on and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
How about just let us know who you are? Give an introduction.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. My name is Braxton Cosby. I am the CEO of Cosby Media Productions. We are a small press publisher out in Atlanta, Georgia. We have published over 30 authors with 60 different titles and ebooks, audiobooks, and paperbacks. We have our own comic imprint called Star Child Comics, and we have put out at least 12 issues of comic books, some first and second issues of a series. And currently, I am working on another comic that's going to be released as a duology with a novel sometime early next year. So I'm really, really excited about that. It's based in historical fiction in feudal Japan. And I'm also initially working on the script to co-write with author Kaio Champion on his second issue of African Ninja Vampire Killers, also known as ANVK, which has been very popular. And a lot of people just love the title, obviously, and then they dig the story. So it was a huge success at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're just revving that one up, and we're getting really, really excited about the storyline, as I was talking with Kaio today, because it's going to be a nice crossover from the new character that I'm introducing in the comic duology that I'm working on now, is going to actually enter that series with ANVK. So we're really, really excited about the promise that that's going to bring with that storyline.
You said comic duology. Is that the title? That duology the title?
No, well, it's well, you have trilogies and you have
Right.
one shots, and then you have duologies. So, and what we're a hybrid publisher. So we started doing this right around. We've been around since 2014. And I've been writing since 2011, but 2014 we've been publishing. And a lot of times we do trilogies, we do series. We have 4 or 5 book series. We're up to 7 with Legacy of Dragon One, which is our huge fantasy series with author Daniel Payton. And now we consider ourselves a hybrid publisher because we publish a lot of our stories in both novels and comics. So you might start off reading a series like Broken, for example, my story. You might start reading Broken in a novel, and then the second book in the series is a comic book, 24-page comic book. The third book in the series is a 60-page graphic novel. So we kind of like give people a difference in the different variation of medium to read, so they can kind of exercise their brain in one way or another. I've done the same thing with Steel Rain, which started off my Bounty Hunter series, which started off as a comic book for pre-flight, and it leads you into the novel, which is The Flight of the Starship Concorde. I am working on that second issue comic right now with a very talented artist named Annie. So got a lot of rods in the fire, a lot of stories that I'm telling, and I'm just excited because I think that where we're going with our next iteration of stories is just continue to expand the worlds that we've already created between Cosby Media Productions and Star Child Comics.
That's really interesting. So what made you go from novel to comic with Broken? So I was able to read the first issue, the 24-page issue. I was given that, and then I didn't read all of the graphic novel yet. So I did read the full comic, but I had no backstory, right?
Right.
Other than what's in the graphic novel, you had a really nice forward in there about like the story thus
Yeah,
far,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That was really neat. And I was like, man, so there's a lot more to this story because like the comic was amazing. It was really good.
Well, thank you. Thank
And
you.
then I started reading, the graphic novel, and I'm like, okay, this is getting, it's getting there, even better. But knowing the story beforehand, now I got to go read an actual novel. This is crazy. Like I never thought of that.
Right.
Can you go into that?
Yeah, what happened, I'll tell you, it's a crazy story how this happened, right? So I had written Broken, the novel, and it was basically going to be, this series that I was going to work on over time. And it ended up getting like some good accolades. It got like, 5-star review from Reader's Favorite. It was the highest ranking novel for the best Book Fall Awards in 2023 for dystopian fiction. And so you were getting good buzz on it. And I was like, this is great. And I right around 21, 22 is when we started turning things out with Star Child Comics. We had our first four issues of superhero fiction from the world we created with is the CMPDSU, the Cosby Media Productions dedicated superhero universe. Me, Kaio Champion with his series from Majesties of Canaan. We had Lawrence St. John with his Metatron series. We had Keyshawn Dodds with his Menzuo series, and we had Daniel Payton with his Bark series, and then my stuff is the Cape. So we had all these novels we were working around. We had like 16 novels, and here we were. We were excited. We had finally gotten some comic books to go along with this superhero fiction, and these are not reimaginings of the stories; they are extensions of them. For example, Bark has 3 novels. Book 4 is the comic book Power Struggle. So that's how we did. We just keep expanding on the story we're telling. So, people were kind of coming around saying, hey, I want to do art. I want to do a story. I want to be a writer. I want to do this and that. And this one guy messaged me and was like, hey, I got this zombie series that I want to have you look at. It's already done, like 27 pages. See what you think. So, I mean, as a comic book publisher, who doesn't want a good zombie series, So I read it, and it was a little quirky in some parts, but I know he was from another country, so it wasn't. I was like, hey, would you be flexible with allowing me to come alongside you and kind of clean up some of the writing so that it flows? The images are great. We could just always change the dialogue and things like that. And he was like, sure, no problem. I gave him all the details of the contract, what it would entail. He was like, great, send it to me. I send it. I get nothing back from like 10 days. I'm like, what's going on, man? The guy just went off, fell off the cliff or something, Then all of a sudden he comes back to me and he goes, after contemplating this, I've decided that I need $10,000 from you. And I also want 50% royalties on every comic you sell, digitally and floppy. I'm like, I said, well, I'm sorry, but we don't do that. So see you later. Now, behind the scenes, I'm like pulling my hair out like, oh my God, we had a zombie story and it's gone. What do we do now? And I distinctly hear, and I would not lie to you, AJ, I heard God say, you have a story already with zombies. What are you talking about? Just write your own comic. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You know? So I go into the lab and I start working on an already written I'd already had my first experience to writing a comic book with Cape Hellfire. I worked with the very talented Bruno Abdias. He actually does the Cyborg series for Marvel, for DC now. And when you write a comic, I had read the book, The Art of Comic book writing, and it was amazing. It showed you how to continually keep 3-act structure in front of you, which is how I write my novels and my screenplays anyway. So I was like, okay, this is easy. I'm just going to write 3-act structure in a comic book. Now, cramming that into 24 or 27 pages is a breathtaking experience that I do not recommend for anybody because it is not easy, but I took on the challenge and it was great. But it really taught me you are not just the writer, you are actually the director, you are the producer, you are the director of photography because you got to get all these angles. You got to imagine what the characters are thinking, how you put them in these positions and all that. So I got all of that. And then when I gave that stuff to Bruno, Bruno just took it off the page. I mean, it became amazing. He was bleeding out of the panels. He showed me how you can have all that story and you can have those angles, but you can also tell it in a certain way that was just beautiful. And his pages were like artwork to me. So it really helped to expand my mind on how to write comic scripts. And so I said, hey, we're going to go a little bit further and we'll do this with Broken. So that's what you got is that the story is intentionally, if you remember, it picks up right in the beginning with Kisa coming out of a dream. She's in this brand new place. And that event is exactly where we end in Broken, the novel book 1. So I literally jumped us from the cliffhanger ending in the novel right into what you read. And I was intentional in trying to bring you up to speed with having Kieran sit at the table talking to the doctor, and they're kind of reviewing how things have happened and like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah, so that would be this. And people who ingested the ashes turn to ashes, and the ones who ravaged the land of the hoarders. And he goes, and then the other ones are, and then Keista rocks in the room. He goes, alphas. That was all intentional because that's where we're going. That's like the foreshadowing, things to come. So I try to bring up to speed as best I can to put you in the place of, okay, um, this is where we are with the story now. So you're right. By the time you get to the graphic novel, I know I had already told a lot of story at that time. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let me give him a one shot page, kind of summarizes and brings you up to date on the events of where we are. Almost like a Star Wars, and it goes up, you get the whole,
Gotta have the scroll.
yeah, you can have the scroll. So I just gave you that one shot. So I feel like people who read that, they're like, oh, cool. If you want to go back and you want to get all the extra stuff about how this all started, how the bombs got dropped, Kisa's characterization, story arc, yes, there's a lot of richness in that. We even get a chance to really dive into the hoarders and get an idea how their communities are run. That's all in book one. We get the establishment. We kind of peel back how they're formed and the magistrates, the judges, and their hierarchy of how things are run. So all of that is in there, fantastic, right? But when I got into the comic, I really got a chance to kind of show the zombies and the Ashers doing their thing. So I wanted to make sure we got that across so people can see that. And then when we got into the graphic novel, which you'll see when you dive in a little bit further, we really kind of pull. I wanted to make the world of Broken a character itself. So we do dive a little bit deeper into the world of Broken, the setting. Also, I introduced a couple more new variants of the Ashers too. And then a couple of another character I introduced, which is going to be pivotal as we go forward in the story, is introduced. And of course, we get to tackle some of the things that made Kisa who she is. For those who are really paying attention in book one, we kind of talk about the mental health challenges that she has. And you can imagine being a 16-year-old girl living your life and all of a sudden bombs drop and everything is gone. Your parents are gone. And you're now put in this situation of being a parent to your younger brother. And, there's no prom, there's no football games, there's no cheerleading, there's no nothing. So obviously that does do quite a work on her mind. And so that's apparent. And I wanted to make sure that we took time to really dive into that and expose what Kisa has been fighting with throughout this story.
Yeah, I mean, there's some powerful imagery in the graphic novel with in the beginning of it. I think it had been chapter 2
Yeah.
with her brother, crying, and it's almost like he just wants a normal life. He's
Yeah.
trying to figure out this normal life, So
Yeah.
it's really powerful. Go into that a little bit more. Like, what are the things you want people to get out of this, or you're trying to teach, or pass on to people with those about that.
Yeah, I felt like, when I had a graphic novel, I was like, okay, we got 60 pages to tell this story now, so I can really stretch things out and really hit on a lot of the beats that I think made Broken what it is. Broken is this emotional story that you put these characters in these situations of all-out nuclear war. What happens? How do people survive? How do people pick up the pieces? And then what do they do? And what's their motives? How do they run in the daily life? And what makes them continue to tick and move forward? So you got this new surrogate family that has adopted Kisa with the resistance. And we still have a little boy. We still have a 16-year-old girl. These guys are still, they are who they are. Characters cannot change in a story once you introduce them. So uh, they have to adapt who they are around their circumstances. So I want to make sure that even when I dealt a wonderful artist named Ram Silva, who did the inks for me, I said, hey, Ram, when we do these, there's going to be a lot of close-up shots. I really want to bring the emotion of the characters visually, not just the words that they say, but I want people to see it in their faces. So you're right, when we do get to chapter 2 and we're talking about Kisa kind of breaking, it's powerful because Karen and everybody else has kind of seen it, and they've kind of just skated around it because they were just trying to allow her to maybe possibly come out of it, but it doesn't happen, and so it's this big emotional pull where everybody has kind of had this come to Jesus moment where they're going to tell her the truth about what's going on, and that's why I opened up the graphic novel really at the crater. We finally see where one of these nukes went off, and they're literally just standing there at this crater. And Kisa is imagining that her mom is in the crater, and everybody's like, "Well," and it's not, that's not right. But I wanted to see people see her cracking still; she's still breaking, and so again. making the world a character itself. You know, this is what the world of Broken looks like. There are going to be these huge, massive craters where nuclear warheads have gone off, and people are just sitting, they're just standing there watching at the edge of it, looking into it, just imagining what the world should have been and what it is now. So yeah, I feel like it was just I wanted to give a lot of powerful imagery with the graphic novel this time around, and give people a good chance at actually jumping into the Badlands for a moment and just seeing what these characters are being exposed to on a daily basis.
So you mentioned art a lot, working with the artists and stuff. Did you do any of the art or sketches yourself? Like, can you
I
talk about the
only
collab of
I
that?
I wish I was even a tenth as talented as these guys.
Right? Me too.
I'm a creator, so I do know how to draw. I'm not going to sit up here and just say I can't do anything with stick figures, but I definitely know that I pass the pen on to the more talented folks in our team. I sketch out everything you see. I do sketch out from head to toe costume designs from all my superheroes to my bounty hunters and all those things. I put those things together the way I want them to look, and I just let the artists and
So
the
you give them
colorists do the
sketches to
magic.
go by and stuff. So that's good.
Mhm.
I mean, collaborating because I couldn't imagine just handing off a script and getting just a page with words on it, and then I mean, I'm somewhat creative in graphic design, but drawing that stuff. I mean, reading all the comics I've been reading, in the last few months, it's just I really appreciate like, man, there's some really good artists out there
Yeah,
that can do any
absolutely.
of this.
Yeah, and I send a lot of references. If I see some stuff, shoot, I might be looking at a movie and I go, this scene is gorgeous. I'll pause it, I take a picture, and I send it and say, hey, Rom, this is kind of what I'm looking like on page 2, panel 6. What do you think? And I'll send it to, I've got a couple other fantastic female artists who I'm working with right now on these 2 projects, and they're doing an amazing job. And I send them references all the time. I say, hey, this is what we're looking for in this scene. I just try to make it as easy as possible for people.
No, that's the one thing, the artwork's been amazing and working with people and, having them do that and just drawing, it's just been amazing. So I got a question. What about, is there any Easter eggs in your comics?
Yeah, there are. And like I said, my total vision for all the comics that we have is that, and this is like our little slogan for Star Child Comics, is come and play in our worlds. But if you jump in one, is there an opportunity to flow into some of the other stories? Do these characters cross over in a multiverse kind of thing? And I say yes. So what we've been trying to do is really script this out so that people will get a little bit of an Easter egg, say, I kind of heard that. Is he going there? And all of a sudden, boom, something does happen where you do see a character enter. So yeah, I would say you are going to see some things that cross over. There are going to be some Easter eggs even in the graphic novel. There's quite a few that will be picked up a little bit later in the next iteration of the book. So just pay attention to that. And like I said, AMVK, we've got some nice crossover stuff coming there. I'm really, really excited with what we're pulling off with that. In Cape Hellfire, I did have William, who is the Prince Bounty Hunter from Protostar, part of the Star Cross Saga trilogy. He makes an appearance in Hellfire, Cape Hellfire comic. He's also back for Steel Rain Part 2, issue number 2. So we see all these characters kind of crossing over. I think it just gives people something to say, man, okay, I grabbed that. Well, let me grab this now. Let me see what's going on with these characters. I'm familiar with this character. Let me see what they look like now. And so just giving them
Yeah,
a chance to kind of have that experience and never really feel like they've been taken out of one world and it's a closed deal. There's always room to grow with other stories too.
for sure. What's your personal favorite character in
Of
these
all of them,
comics? In yours?
somebody asked me that at the convention this week, and I honestly have to say I really feel like it's still Rain. I've never had a black bounty hunter character, so to be the person who kind of created that. And Steel Rain has so much depth to him. He's he's got the orphan thing going on. He's got the estranged sister story going on. He's got um the ex lover who he no longer is really in contact with, but he runs into her in his novel, and it's like, oh, what do we do now? Kind of a thing. It's all odd. He's got and being a he started off in the spy guild, then he went to the bounty hunter guild, and then So now he's trying to not get pulled back into any of this work and espionage and all that. And every uh, mission that he goes on pulls him back through that same route, which he was trying to walk away from. So he's got a lot of complexity to him, and he's really just a cool badass too. So I really do like Steel Rain. I just thought I ended up getting a toy made of him, and that was just amazing. So
Well, that's
uh,
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Do you have it to show off or
I
no?
do. You want me to show him to you?
Yeah, of
Hold on one
course.
second.
That's amazing. I love that.
I mean, who doesn't want a toy off of one of the characters that they created? You know,
Right?
fully articulated. He's got his gun here. Let me see if I can put his gun in his hand. Yep.
That's awesome.
His gun's name is Martha. And yeah, and I'm really excited with book number two is issue number two is just coming around so amazingly well. And so I'm excited to see. I'm excited for people to get a chance to see Steel Rain come back around again in issue two, and it's going to be a fulcrum that's going to catapult my new extension on the Proxima Centauri world of storytelling with the Starcross Saga. Then we got Steel Rain, and then we got this new series of books that comes out after that. I tell people it's a Game of Thrones in space. A lot of families, a lot of quests, and a lot of work with houses and planets and it's really really complex, and I'm just loving where that's going to go once I get done with Steel Rain.
What's your time frame on start to finish releasing a comic?
Um, where I am right now, Steel Rain, first 5 pages are done. Working on the next five. It's gonna probably be like about a 20, maybe 22 page comic. In my mind, this is the year of Broken, and the second issue of the Cape Hellfire is the Fabulous Five. So this is their year to kind of push those comics through, because I just released a graphic novel for Broken earlier this year. So those guys, this is their year. Next year will probably be the new IP I'm working on now. The duology will be next year, along with Steel Rain, and then 27 we're looking at the expansion of the next series that I'm writing. And I say that, but then I'm already working with Kaio Champion on issue 2 of AMVK, which has one of my characters in it. So next year is going to be a huge, huge year as far as like releasing. Just probably about I release a novel, the graphic novel for that, then a Steel Rain comic, then AMVK. So probably like four titles be released next year. So I'm excited.
It's awesome. What about the time to create that? So like you get the idea, you send, you write the story. How long does it take you to write the story, do the sketches, put it together, just not to actual release, but to get
Yeah.
it ready to release?
The phase is if we looked at the pre-work, I would probably say my pre-work of like getting together the outline solidly, if I sat down, it's about a week, 2 weeks. Writing the script, the screenplay, I kind of do like I've learned that segmenting it has been better, because I write it, I look at it, I see the images come in, and I go, okay. By the time the artist is done with the pencils and inks, before they get to color, I've already started writing on the next five. And so when we get to colors and all the colors are right, I feel like I've gotten more fresh ideas. I already have my outline, so that's fine. I don't have to write the pages until I see them kind of coming to a close. And I could crank out another 5 pages in 2 to 3 days, and have them all. And I'll have my editor look at it, make sure it's clean, turn them in, and let the artist. So the artist right now finished the first 5 pages. She's already working on the next five. So, um, like I said, pre-work probably about a month. Writing it, if I had to do it straight through, I could probably get it done in a month. But I'm liking this process a little bit more. Kind of give, look, formulate, write again. So, I mean, from start to finish, depending on how fast the artist is working, I mean, it take about 6 months to get the comic done, where I feel like it's right where it needs to be.
That's amazing. Like some of these big publishers, how fast they crank them out. And I'm
Well,
like,
and they've got somebody sitting there on a pay, and they don't play around. And, these people are getting paid much better, I'm sure, than what I can afford.
yeah, you're not
And so
paying
it's
for it.
like,
They're getting paid to
you
do it.
better get this done. There's not like an
Right.
option of like saying you got other projects going on and nobody's going to follow up. If you don't follow up, they probably just pull somebody else in who can do it just the same.
Right.
So they know it's to the artist's benefit it would behoove them to get the stuff turned in quickly so their name can be attached to it once it's out. So yeah, so they
Right.
crank them out. They can probably get a comic out every month. Where in the small press scene, if I get it to you every con and you every time, because I got people come back, hey, what you got this year? Oh, got issue
Well,
two. Oh,
that's
really? Let me
fantastic.
grab it.
Yeah.
Then you got the next book? I had a lady who came. She was starting to read. She had read Star-Crossed Saga, books 1 and 2. She came to the table. She was like, "Oh my god, you have the third one. I'm coming to get it." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And all of a sudden, she's like, "But my blood sugar is dropping. I need to go sit down." I was like, "Okay, yeah." So she went. I didn't see her the rest of the day. We had a 3-day convention. Maybe she'll come back. She comes back on the second day. I told you I was coming back, and I want that one. I said, okay, perfect. I said, and Still Rain was a character that was introduced in book 3, and now he's got his own novel in comics. She said, give me those two. She said, but I said, and I thought she had bought the first ones from me before. She said, I didn't buy the first two from you. I got them offline. So I'm going to buy all 3 of them again. And I want you to, because I want them all signed. And then she wanted a picture. So those
Yeah.
things are great stories that you like. Because
It's
it's like, oh my
amazing.
gosh, she said she just loved them. She thought it was amazing. I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So she literally bought all 3 Star-Crossed and Still Rain and the comics. So she's got a lot of good stuff to read. And that's really how it's supposed to be, kind of that flow, and then it's going to take you into the next comic and then the next series.
That's awesome. I've done several conventions from the gaming side, like wargaming. I made some accessories for a while, had a hobby shop for a while, and I did a lot of those conventions. And then now I'm kind of transitioning into the comic world, and I'm really looking forward. I've gone to some small ones around here.
Mhm.
Really looking forward to going to some of the bigger ones. What is your approach to like world building and when you sit down to create a world, or what would you tell others about that?
The experience that I'm having now, it depends on, you have to do research. Because and the historical fiction books has been teaching me quite a bit because I went and dove in. I got all this research. I mean, all these things about feudal Japan, the economy, agriculture, the religion, and what the land looks like. I really dug into all of that stuff and the wars that are going on at the time. So it taught me about world building. So as I'm writing the fictional glue that goes along with the story, I'm dropping in this historical stuff that is happening, and these characters are moving throughout this timeline. So I would say what it taught me now is making that world its own character to your story. How does it affect your story? If the weather changes, what does that do to the characters? Does it make things more difficult? Makes it easier. And so the world needs to be living and breathing on its own. Whether these characters exist, that world continues to move forward. I think you kind of see that in a lot of things like I looked at After Earth a while back with my daughter because they had never watched it before and they thought it was great. And they were coming back to Earth, Will Smith and his son, and you just see all the bison. It's like zillions of bison running around. There were all these other birds have now evolved into something else without human interference. And so it was planet Earth, this wonderful ecosystem that can live forever without man destroying it. What does it look like when people have gone for over hundreds of years? So I think that's why I look at my world. I'm like, as this world evolves and people are either in it or not, then what does it look like? So that was what helped me out with Broken, is I was able to kind of jump in and make the world kind of breathe on its own. Some areas are plush environments up in the mountains where the fallout hadn't gotten to. And then some areas are just barren wasteland because that's where the majority of the nuclear bombs had gone off. So I would say just keep it living, keep it breathing, and let it be its own character so that it can be changed, pulled, and tugged on, and manipulated by its own events, and then also those of the characters within that world.
What was your real world inspiration for this, for
For,
all of this?
for Broken,
For Broken, for starting the publishing, for writing in general?
yeah. I just, my thing was I fell in love with story. I've done so many intensive with writing and creative writing and script writing, and I even went from like idea to full story with the a woman named a Professional Pen. She's fantastic online. And so we went on a 6-week journey of just, what's the idea you got? Boom. And we just went boom, 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 writing, 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 writing. So I fell in love with all the elements of stories. So now when I look at stories, whether it's um, something like Squid Game, where it's more like episodic 10 episodes, or it's a series that comes back over seasons, or if it's a movie, I'm always just looking at what's the story. Don't I used to be a special effects whore. If you just give me a whole bunch of special effects, I love the movie. you know, and so I really gotta. I told my wife, I said I'm really more into this slow burn now. I like the dunes that where you're almost sleeping and then something happens and wakes you up. Like Foundation on Apple Plus, Apple TV, where you kind of lulled to this stupor. But I love that because I dig into the story. I want to know what these characters are about. I want to know what this world is really trying to say to me outside of all the wonderful flash scenes where you get these beautiful vistas and fly-in shots and stuff like that. So a lot of my writing reflects that now, where I'll just kind of show a world, big panel of this, the world as we're kind of zooming in, or I'll show the ship just flying, just so you can kind of be taken into that world as they would in your favorite movie or TV show.
So you've mentioned working with some, kind of people that have worked on bigger comics and stuff. Is there a dream collaborator, somebody you'd like to work with that you haven't worked with?
Man, I mean, if I could ever get to write with Ryan Coogler, how amazing would that be? Sidebar story, my cousin taught screenwriting at USC. And he actually taught Ryan Coogler. And
That's
so
awesome.
that would be a full circle moment for me if somehow I got to work with him, even if I just had my story and he was executive producing. That would just be amazing, just to kind of learn from somebody else.
What is your workspace like? You just sit at a desk? Do you have your own office? Do you have to have something special set up? What is that
Yeah,
like?
this is my office. This is my playground right here in the basement. I've got my own little thing sectioned out, and I just get in here and I dive in. I get my music playing. I get an audiobook playing or something like that if I need some inspiration of the kind of genre of the writing that I'm doing, and I just dig in. So like last night, I did a chapter of my latest book, and when I get off with you, I'll be digging in another one tonight, working on this outline for this ANVK sequel. So yeah, I'm always excited about story.
What's something that you'd want to share that we haven't covered?
I would say people who are just looking for new, fresh stories from storytellers who are just passionate about what they're working on. Uh, when we bring on, we've been out since 2014, but we've never did an open submission ever. We've done this totally by word of mouth. Somebody we publish, they like it, they tell their friend. Their friend comes, we tell them, hey, you need the first 3 chapters along with a synopsis of your story. We do an interview. We want to see the enthusiasm. We want to know that they're actually going to push what they have. And when they show us that, we go to print. We give them the best opportunities to win. We give them, you know, book trailers. We give them good covers. We give them solid formatting and editing up to the industry standard. Now it's your baby to push and get out to the world after that. And so, if people are looking for that type of quality, Cosby Media Productions, I'm sure we have a book that you're into. We've got all the genres covered. We've got spiritual, we've got inspirational, we've got self help, we've got young adult, we've got hard sci-fi, we've got fantasy, we've got dystopian, we've got superheroes. You name it, we got it. We even have poetry too. So come on over to our website. Just kind of scroll right down. It's very easy to navigate. All of our genres are right there in the center. You just click on the one you're interested in and find a book. I say find your next favorite book. It's the summer, so why not take a chance on some new readers?
That's right. I bought several books in the last month, and yeah, for lots of people. All right, so now I have some rapid fire fun questions for
Okay,
you. Is that cool?
that's fine.
It's more comic related, not book
Yeah.
related, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right, who is your first favorite superhero or comic character, and why?
Batman.
Batman. I
Yeah,
love.
Batman was and always will be. I just like the whole Dark Knight detective thing. It was levels. He wasn't just a superhero. Plus, I know he didn't have any superpowers, so that was very relatable. It was all about gadgetry and using his money, but his money wasn't the big thing, to him. It was just something that he used as a tool or a medium to a means to an end. So I like that about him. and he always had intelligent enemies that he had to be smarter than, not just stronger than, but smarter than to beat him. So I really like that.
Have you read the new Absolute Batman series?
No, I have not. I've heard it's good.
It's really good because he doesn't have money.
Oh, really?
That's like the big takeaway or big
Mhm,
difference in the Absolute, right?
mhm.
He doesn't have money. It's really good. There are like 8 or 9 episodes, or I
Okay.
say episode, I always
Comic.
say episodes,
Yeah.
issues in, and it's really good. So what was the first comic book you ever read?
The one that I still have today, I would say my first series is X-Men. And I still have the Genoshan series where they actually took their powers away. They took away Rogue and Wolverine, and they basically just had to survive. It was just amazingly done. They were on the island. They had the little power things around their necks that took their power, and they had to figure out how to survive. And it was just honestly one of the best series I've ever read in my life. So still have them here. Won't sell them. I'll just keep them
No.
for life.
Yeah, keep them. Yep. All right. If you could live in any comic book universe, which one would it be?
I wouldn't live in Broken. That's not a good time.
I don't blame you. I don't think I wanna live
No,
there
I
either.
don't think I'll live in Broken, but I anything that has to do with like cyberpunk, like Blade Runner kind of thing, I would do that. I think that would be really really cool. So I would say something like Blade Runner, or even maybe even venturing into the Expanse. I ended up
Okay.
doing paying for the Kickstarter. This had a new recent Kickstarter. They were doing an expansion of the story, so I'm excited to get those comics in.
I asked that question before, and the one of the was like, "Well, I'm not living in the Marvel or DC universe. All the crazy crap happens every day there."
Yeah, yeah.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
Invisibility. That seems to be the main one
Yeah,
everybody
people
would
say
want.
either that or flying, but I don't want to go up. I'm afraid of heights, so I'll just do the invisibility
You'll
thing
do
and
the
be good with that.
invisibility. There you go. Which comic book character would you want as your sidekick?
Wolverine.
Yeah,
That way, I don't have to
Wolverine.
worry about it. If it's time to go off the hinges, I know he's got it.
He's got to take care of. I'm gonna go hide. I'm gonna go invisible, hide in the corner,
Absolutely,
let him take care of business.
absolutely. And when he's done, I'll come back out and say, "Hey, you need any help?"
Oh, it's all over. Oh, great
Yeah,
job.
exactly.
Oh, I'll get the car.
Yeah.
All right. If your life were a comic book, what would the title be?
The days that never end. I don't know why I would do that, but I would just put that there because I feel like I'm
Yeah,
always working anyway. So the days that
artists
never.
and creators such as ourselves, like I create pods and this kind of stuff. Our days seem to never end.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
I catch myself looking at the clock. It's like midnight. I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
I know. I run out
What
of
am I
time. I
doing?
run out of time all the time.
All the time. I love that. So tell us what conventions are coming up? Where can people find you at a convention?
If they want to come and see Cosby Media Productions Star Child Comic, we have our new one coming up in July 18th. Atlanta Comic Con. We'll be there for that
Okay.
convention, and at the end of August, just got confirmed that I will be in Chattanooga, Tennessee for the Anna Anime Verse Con, and I think it's called Anniverse Con.
Yeah, something like that. Isn't it a combo like gaming, comic,
Mm-hmm.
everything?
Yep.
I was supposed to go there a few years ago and I think it was during COVID, I couldn't make it or
Well,
something.
I love Chattanooga. It's only 2.5 hours
Yeah.
away from
Oh,
us
that's true.
in Georgia, and Chattanooga's just always real cool and mellow. Got some nice spots to eat and just hang out. So, love to go to Chattanooga.
And that's the end of August.
End of August, yeah, and then in September, let me see. I think September we're gonna be in Charleston for Incredible Con.
Okay.
So that's gonna be really cool. Yeah. So we got quite a few lined up coming up. So I'm excited.
So how do people contact you?
Go to cosbymediaproductions.com, or and there you'll be able to click on our links for our social media. You got a Facebook link, you got Instagram and X, Twitter, which we really don't spend too much time there. But if you wanted to reach out, you can DM us on Instagram. You'll be able to find our Star Child _ comics, and then Cosby Media Productions. or you can just go to our contact us page on the website and shoot us a line. Say, hey, if you're an artist or you're a writer and you want to try to have us take a peek at what you got, feel free to just let us know.
That's great. That's perfect. Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. People can go check all this stuff out. Check out Broken. It was really good. What I've read.
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely get some more. I'm gonna have to go to one of these conventions
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
meet you in person and
Fantastic.
get some of that going. Anything else you need to share or want to share, or I didn't cover?
No, I think we're good. Thank you again for having me on, man. This was a great opportunity to have a chat with you, and I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that you're reading Broken and enjoying it. That's all I want to do, is share the stories that I feel are good, and there's a lot of work that goes into them. So when people like them, I'm appreciative that the work that I'm doing is not being done in vain, and that the stories, people actually connect with what I'm trying to put out there. So very grateful.
Hey, well, thanks for being with me.